Hey there. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Want to know what keeps customers coming back again and again? When they feel emotionally connected to you and your business and your products. We're going to look today at one way to create that emotional connection with customers in today's Talk Shop Tuesday. I'm Reese Spikerman, and you're inside the Commerce Collab Facebook group. I go live almost every Tuesday to give you tips, advice, and strategies on scaling your e-commerce store. Today, you are going to learn how to write your About page on your e-commerce website. And we are going to put 3 members in the hot seat here and break down and give them some tips for their About pages. So Dawn, Karen, and Rachel, we're going to look at your About pages. And I would love it if you want to join me on Zoom. I'm going to drop the link in the comments. And that way, you don't have to be on video if you don't want. You can show the black screen. But if I have some questions for you as I'm going through your page, you're there and you could answer them. And if not, that's okay too. I can still help you out. But let me go pop that link in the comments right now. There we go. And you know what? Even if you aren't Dawn or Karen or Rachel, you can come and join me in the Zoom room. It just feels a little bit more engaged. Like, I hate to say this because it's just so overused in the last year, but like virtual coffee together, but it's what we've got. So we're going to make the most of it, right? So first, can I get a show of hands from who's joining me here? Type this for me. My About page is, and then blank. And just fill in the blank for me, whatever comes up for you. It could be everything from my About page is glorious to my About page is the most frustrating thing in the world, or my About page is really hard for me to write, or my About page is confusing, or my About page is amazing. Just let me know, kind of taking a poll here. About pages are tough to write. So if that's what came up for you, you aren't alone. And it's really hard to know what the heck to do. I mean, raise your hand if you're with me. What do I do on my About page, especially for product-based businesses? It seems like people in the service realm have it a little bit easier because it's about them. But you know what? Later today, I'm giving a similar conversation in my friend Allison Scholl's group for service-based business owners. And a lot of what I'm talking about today will also apply to them. But when you have a product-based business, it's tougher. Ooh, hold on. I got Sabrina Blanks coming in on Zoom with me. I love it. Woohoo! Okay, sorry, I got a little excited. Again, go look in the comments. There's a link to join me in Zoom if you want to. What do you write about on About page if you have a product-based business? Do you write about your company? Do you write about your product, yourself, your process, your R&D? What do you write about? And just tell me in the comments if you're watching what right now on your current website About page is your focus. Is it about you as a person? Is it about your business? Is it about your products, your features? If you have a team, is it about your team? What's going on your current About page on your website? Let's talk today about how you could improve it so that you create that relationship with your customers and keep them on your website and start, building that more engaged relationship with them. We want every part of our business and our website to connect with our customers in some way. And depending on where you're at in a website, that's going to be different. There's always this context that matters. But you're building a bond with them through the words you choose, through the images you use, through how easy it is to navigate your website. And a customer who has browsed over to your About page may be mentally in a place where she's wanting to know more about you to decide whether your products or your business values are really right for her. Hold on, I got someone else in the room. Yay! We have Davina joining us. Davina, just pop a comment for me if I said your name right or wrong, but I'm assuming that's how you say it. What matters to your customer varies from customer to customer, business to business, industry to industry. Some customers will make decisions, they're really steered by their values. For example, they might want to know that you have sustainable, ethically made clothing, and we're going to look at an example of that in a minute. Or other customers might be looking for, does this company understand me? Do they get what's vexing me, my biggest problem right now? Or it's not always a big problem. Do they understand what desires I have? Maybe I really desire another shirt that's just like this one, but in a different color. So tell me in the comments, do you personally tend to look at what the product can do for you? Or do you, like, if it makes you happy, if it solves a problem? Or do you tend to look for things like, does this company share a similar value set as me? Like, what are their values? And neither are right or wrong here at all. There's no good or bad answers. And for me personally, I usually am driven more by like, what can the product do for me? Or simply, do I like how it looks? You know, is it pretty? Do I think it will be cute? Will it serve a function in my life? So neither is right or wrong. Just tell me in the comments, are you driven by values? Are you driven by what the product can do for you? Is it sometimes one or the other? What is it for you? You do need to know, though, what matters for your customers. And obviously, our customers are not a monolith. We have a whole different bunch of customers with a whole different bunch of needs and desires, but we want to try and hone in on what we call an ideal customer. This is a person in our mind that we are communicating to, because when we think about them as one person, it becomes a lot easier than trying to imagine communicating with a crowd. And it becomes so much easier to sharpen our messaging because we're communicating just to them. And I want to say something, if that makes you a little scared, like, will I leave other customers behind? You won't. There's so many products and companies I've bought from where I didn't necessarily feel like they were talking directly to me about their, like, in the way they communicated, but I still wanted the product. I still wanted the service. So when you do get this right, though, and you communicate very specifically to one customer and her desires or her values, you call in more and more of those type of people, and they just feel really connected to you. You want to know, for example, does it matter to them that their baby has a diaper that feels like soft and good on her little bum cheeks? Or do they want cleaning supplies that don't use harsh chemicals and are good for the environment? Those are two very different sets of needs, right? What I'm leading up to is that an effective about page is actually about your customer first. And if you are frantically taking notes at this point, or like, holy crap, okay, I need to rewatch this, you can, but don't worry, I'm going to show you in visuals 2 examples of what I mean, and I'm going to break down for you in a minute a little formula. So again, you want to lead with your customers first. And the way that you do this is you have an initial headline. So a headline is like a larger chunk of text that calls out to them. Some text that is either about them or marries your backstory, your reason for being, with what matters to them. And I'll show you what I mean in a sec. You're speaking to either their frustration, their desire, their problem, or their wants. Once you do that, you're hooking them, right? You're getting them to lean in. You're getting them to say, oh, this is for me. Then what you want to do is you have some text, you know, like in paragraph form, that is going further into what matters to them. All right. You're talking a bit more again about them. And then you're going to transition, or as my friend Brenna likes to call it, a segue into more about you. And I will tell you, like, I'll give an example in a minute of what this might look like, but you even want the part that is about you to have information that's really relevant to them and to why they're there and to why they're choosing your products or business. And what you could do after that is you scatter maybe a few casual fun facts about you in there. So you're still bringing some of that personality. You're showing this human being behind a brand, especially if you are a solopreneur business, okay? Or if you have a team, you might do little snippets of personality about your main team members. Then at the end, you're going to pop in a link or a couple links that keep them browsing on your site or keep them engaged. So this might look like sending them to a blog article that is a behind the scenes of your R&D process, okay? Or maybe more about Meet the Team, or if you have a frequently asked questions page, you might send them there. Or if you have an email list and you have a freebie, like a free valuable thing that you're offering them in exchange for giving their email, you could have that be the final thing that you wrap up with. But you're always looking for a way to either keep them on your site or make that request that they take that next step and get on your email list for a good reason. You might also end with some products. You can do that. I like it when it's done subtly. I'll show you an example. So the idea is, though, don't just like end it abruptly. So let me recap everything I just said into kind of a formula for you for how to write your about page. First, you're going to start with a hella good headline, okay? Tune in to my personal interview on the upcoming Commerce Collab that's coming up in May 24th. I'm breaking down for you in my interview what exactly you do to write a really good headline. And I give you a free resource, a cheat sheet to help make it easier. Okay. So that's first. You want this like hella good headline that grabs their attention and speaks to them. Then after that, you want empathetic text. Okay. You want some text, some copy, paragraphs, bullet points that's still about them. Okay. You're keeping it about them. After that, you want a segue, a transition. So one of the ways you might do this is you might have a sentence that says something like, that's why we started Grampy's Diaper Company, or whatever your company name is. So you're taking all this stuff that you've written about them and what matters to them, and then you're making this bridge as to, yeah, we can relate. That's why we started this company. Okay, so that's kind of what you're trying to do rather than just jump abruptly into you. After that, number 4 is you have your backstory. So this is where either you're sharing some of your values, or maybe you're sharing how this business came to be. You're getting a little bit more personal about why you started it, why you do what you do, what matters to you, or it can be more fun at times too. And you still want to keep some of this related to them. So what I mean by that is this. Let's say you, at the age of 8, really liked skipping rope, but that has absolutely nothing to do whatsoever with you making the company that you've made. You could put that later in a little casual fact about you, but some of those details people don't need to know. Right? They don't need to know that in order to know whether they want to be connected with you, your products, and your business. But let's say your company is for, like, you sell jump ropes. It would make total sense that you would share in your backstory that since the age of 8, you were skipping it like mad and you've never stopped. So that little bit of your backstory makes so much sense because it's really related to your products and why you're doing what you're doing. And number 5 is what I call the casual convo section. This is where you have like 3 to 5 fun facts about you. This doesn't have to be so tied into your business. For me, like, I'll share a fun fact that I've got. Come here, Tiki. Come on, you're gonna be a star. Come on. I got my 4-pound Tiki, Morky, okay? She's gonna make a tiny appearance because I force her into the camera and she hates it. I'll share that. Or I'll share that I lived in Malaysia for 7 years. Those things don't really matter about why I do what I do, but they're a nice, fun thing to share about me. You can have your own version of this. And the final thing is you want to close with a call to action. This is a link to a blog post or to another resource you have. Even maybe reach out and contact you or join your email list. But for the love of God, do not send them to Instagram, please. You're sending them off your site. Any of you who have been with me for any length of time, I see Tola smiling at me right now. Hey, Tola. She's like, yeah, I've heard Reese bang that drum for like months now. Do not send them. Am I right? Yeah. Do not send them off your site. Do not link to Instagram. This is not the place to do that. No, no, no. We're keeping them on your site. Okay. Let's take everything that I just shared with you and look at a couple examples in the wild. And then we're going to get to the hot seats, which I am so excited about. So I'm going to show you two companies. One is Casper Mattress, and the other is Encircled, which is a fashion company owned by my friend Christy. So I'm going to share my screen. Portion of screen. Okay. I'm assuming you can see my screen. This is Cat. I'm going to go look quick in Zoom and just see if I can't see you guys on Zoom. So can you tell me in Facebook, or I'll go back to Zoom. I'll go to the chats. Can someone in Zoom here in the chat tell me if you can see my screen just to make sure? Great. Thanks, Caitlin. All right, let's take a look at Casper Mattress's About page. They start out with, we're Casper, the sleep company. I actually think that it would be better if they took this headline and made that the top. Okay, this is what I mean by headline. It's these larger bits of text. We believe sleep is the superpower that charges everything people do. So it's about them, but they're talking about their reason for being, and they are connecting with people who really value a good night's sleep. Right? People who buy a mattress from Casper have bought it because they just want to get more rest. Then they talk a bit more here about them. We've been studying the magic and science of sleep. And then this again is more about the customer. Great sleep changes everything. It makes us friendlier, faster, smarter, even warmer and fuzzier. If we all got great sleep, the world would be brighter. So see, it's not so much like me, I, here's why we did it. There's a bit of that in there, but it's more about, why does this matter to the customer? What's in it for them? Then they go into a little bit of their backstory here. But even in their backstory, when they say they dreamed a big dream, listen to this. Creating an outrageously comfortable mattress and shipping it to your door in a tiny box. That isn't really about them. It's about what you can expect when you order a mattress from them. It's going to be really comfortable and it's going to come in a tiny box. That's really about the customer and why it matters to her. They've got this video. They want to awaken the potential of a well-rested world. This is kind of their values, their reason for being. And then they go a little bit more into their backstory here, their R&D, their innovation. And we want the world to love sleep as much as we do, right? One well-rested person at a time. Some of these sentences are, again, more about what's in it for the customer. And then look, they've got a little bit of personality here. At the end of the day, we give a sheet. That's hilarious to me. And then they say, no, really, they give a sheet to those in need. So they also talk about a charitable aspect of their company, which a lot of people might care about. It might give them a reason to want to buy from this company. I'm not saying you have to do this, but it might be helping Casper. And then check this out. Here's that call to action at the end. Join the well-rested. And it's the call to give your email address. So Casper doesn't have that part in the formula where they talk about them, like, hey, I'm Bob, and here's why I did what I did, because Casper is a much bigger company. And that's why I want to show you Encircled, which is the ethical fashion brand from my friend Christy. So this is her About page. This is Encircled's About page. And this is a much smaller company. Here's how they're doing it. They've got this headline here at the top. It's a hella good headline. Like you, we're tired of seeing compromise in the fashion industry. And you know what they're doing so well here on Encircled? She's using the word you. That immediately is pulling the customer into the page. The minute someone reads the word you, they're going to lean in. It's like a trigger. It's like, oh, she's talking to me. They're talking to me. So then they're talking a bit here about why they do what they do, but why their customers care too. Whether it's style for comfort or quality for price, something always seems to get pushed to the side until now. Style, comfort, quality, ethics, and genuine sustainability. Encircled is the slow fashion brand that does it all. So they're talking about the things that their customers care about, like their customers might feel they've been compromising on, and then they're saying our company is doing it differently, it's doing it better. They put a few things that help you understand their certifications here. That's something you could do. It wasn't in my formula, but knock yourself out, follow this. Then they're still talking about the customer. Fast fashion and trends are disposable. Our clothing isn't. The encircled woman is effortlessly polished, comfortable, and confident in her own sense of personal style. That's about the customer. No more what on earth was I thinking moments with trends and fads, whether it's stick thin eyebrows, acid wash jeans, or shoulder pads, we've all been there. Do you see how they're starting to weave in a little bit about them? And then she's talking about the products, but about why the products matter to the customer. Encircled pieces are forever pieces. They're sewn to last. So these may seem like they're about the product, but when we see something like they're sewn to last, we are signaling to the customer, you can expect when you buy a piece of our clothing that it will probably last you for life. And as you go down, they talk about their values, what matters. You know, they talk about why they use the fabrics they use, but they don't just say, we're awesome because we use these fabrics. They put in the so what for the customer. Soft, comfortable, and flattering on all body types. They're made to last. They're dyed locally. They're free from pesticides and harmful substances. These are all things that Encircled knows their customer cares about. Another fashion company may have a completely different about page depending on their customer. Then as you go down, they're still talking about the customer. Refine your, there's that word, your wardrobe without refining your options. Then finally at the bottom, here's where we're getting into the formula. Christy, the founder, starts to talk about herself. Comfy clothing gives me life, but I realized that I wanted more than that in my clothes. I created Encircled to create a brand that I couldn't find out there, a brand that didn't compromise. Do you see how this headline is actually a segue? It's a transition from everything about the customer to why she decided to build this company. And then she talks more about her backstory here. And she weaves in some personal details. She was working 80 hours a week. She was exhausted. She was packing all the time. She hated the clothes she was packing. And then she launched this. Now, one of the things that Christy doesn't do is she doesn't share those personal tidbits very much, like I suggested you do. You could still do that, or you could opt to just follow Encircled's model fairly closely, but with your own unique copy and text. And then here's a call to action at the bottom. She's got 4 different things that you could shop in her shop. So that basically is the formula in action in 2 different ways. And what I would love for you to tell me is, do these examples kind of in the wild help the formula make a little bit more sense? You can see it's not this hard and fast template, right? It's, hold on, I'm going to stop share. Casper was very different than what Christy did, okay? But both are speaking to the customer. That's the main takeaway I want you to get from this. Encircled does a really great job of using the word you to pull that customer in, okay? To make her lean in, to say, yeah, I want to read more. What I would love is if you tell me before we get to these hot seats, what part of what I said today from the formula do you think you could put into action? Maybe that headline at the top, is that something you could start with this week? Or maybe that introduction text? Just tell me in the comments what feels really exciting for you to get started with, just playing around with, thinking about what you might do. Let's get on the hot seats. I promise I will not tear you apart. I'm just gonna go take a look and see who is with me here. I see Rachel is in. I think that Dawn, oh, Karen's here too. So we're missing Dawn, but we've got Karen and Rachel. Awesome. I promise I'm not gonna tear you apart. I'm going to be really kind about it. I just want to help you think and brainstorm some ways to take your about pages and make them a bit more customer centric. Okay, so you can build that relationship with your customers. But let me check in with the comments quick. This is awesome. So, oh, thanks for Tola for answering what R&D is. I appreciate that. And Glim and Glow is going to come up with their headline. Love that. Davina is going to work on making it more about the customer. Yes, yes, yes. Caitlin is going to says that having a formula in general helps. They do. Like just having the structure to follow is a relief. Sabrina's going to work on her headline and segue. Amazing. Yes. And Rachel, who we're going to look at her page in a minute, says her about page doesn't pull the customer in. She wants to incorporate that more. So I've got some ideas for you, Rachel. First, we've got Dawn, who I don't think is with us on Zoom, but that's okay. So I'm going to go through Dawn's as best I can without her here. Let me share my screen again so you can see Dawn's about page. One sec. Share screen. All right. So Dawn has the Fairy Tale Yarn Company. She's got these gorgeous, gorgeous yarns that I believe she might hand make from what I can tell. And she also, we're going to look in a sec, she's got some text on her about section that's really very nice about the customer, but I think it's buried a bit. So I want to think about how could we bring that to the front. So here's a couple of bits of feedback for Dawn. First is, I might consider, even though this is a singular company, like Dawn is the company, maybe changing it to about Fairy Tale Yarn. I could go either way on this. I think it's okay sometimes, but maybe another alternative would be like about founder Dawn. And I can't remember her last name off the top of my head. I'm sorry, Dawn. So maybe that would be a little bit of a change to the title up here. But what I would do, I'm talking about this area here. This about me, I would ditch that. And I think you guys can guess what I'm going to suggest here. This first headline is going to be, we want to pull that customer in. We want to make it a little bit more about the customer, right? And in the same way, I would probably eliminate this photo and eliminate this second about me so we can get right into this juicy headline. And maybe you put a picture of the yarn there too, like a brighter, bolder picture of your yarn, Dawn, because your yarn is gorgeous. What I noticed when I went down Dawn's page is I'm going to highlight a couple things for you guys to see. So she has, most of her colorways are tie-dyed, and this means the colors are applied in layers. And then she has this great line. What this means for your projects is they're less likely to pool, and there are more colors because of the overlapping as the dye is applied. So that's some interesting info there about why customers might choose her yarn. And then she says here, like when her speckle dyed yarn, she has this great line. This means that most speckle dyed yarn will give you pops of color throughout your project. So here's what I'm thinking for Dawn. What if she had a headline at the top that was something like this? I'd love to know what you guys think. Who else loves pops of color throughout their knitted projects? Question mark. And then you could have, we do too, obviously, in like the obviously could be in parentheses. So that would be a way to pull in what matters to the customer, like why they might be dyeing or why they might be buying these dyed yarns. And then what she could do is go into a bit of this stuff down here, like the what is in it for the customer that I highlighted. And what I'm really curious about is whether Dawn has some customer reviews. And the reason I ask that is because for you guys, everyone listening, customer reviews are sometimes one of the best places to go find phrases and language and words that you can weave in and like tweak a bit that speak directly to your customer because you're just using their own words. So those were some ideas for Dawn. And then Dawn, obviously go look back at the formula and see, all right, well, how can I take what I have here and rejig it? Like, I love that you're a geek, that your favorite animals are dragons, that you love fantasy and sci-fi, and that you love monk and psych. And I think all of that would be great down that part lower on the page where there's some casual tidbits about you. Those are just some fun facts about you that I think would work really well down there. And this, like, when you couldn't find the purple shade you wanted, that's some of your backstory, like Christy did in hers. So you could weave that into the backstory about why you started this. You know, this is where I might eliminate. That was about 10 years ago, and I haven't finished that shawl, but I also haven't stopped dyeing. I might look at, do I need to let them know that I haven't finished the shawl? Does that help them to know that? That might be the kind of thing I might trim. So those are some ideas for you, Dawn, that I think would help get you started on a track to like polishing this about page and really pulling in your customer, because your yarns are gorgeous. And we want to drive that point home about how it's going to make their knitted projects so much prettier. In fact, you could steal that. Make your knitted projects so much prettier. Like that could be a subheadline somewhere. Next up, we have Karen, who I think Karen is with us in Zoom. And Karen has jewelry that she makes from spoons. Like, you know, the edge of a, I'll just show you quick. She makes like rings and bracelets out of spoons, which I think is gorgeous. I've always loved these kinds of rings and bracelets. So Karen, you are already doing a lot of the formula really well. Karen's doing a great job with the formula, and I think we can just tweak it a little bit. So one of the things that Karen's doing great out of the gate is, look, you enjoy unique jewelry that brings about a memory and a message as much as I do. You enjoy the memories of, so Karen's already using this word you. She's already pulling her customer in. So what you could do, Karen, is take some of that and use it to finesse this headline. So instead of a little bit about me, it might be more, let me read your text here. I love this part about your mother's or grandmother's pattern. I personally find that very compelling. And it sounds like maybe your customers do too. So it might be wear a little piece of your mother or grandmother's pattern with you every day. That needs work, but you kind of get what I'm saying. So that little specific detail that makes your jewelry so unique, we're going to bring that and maybe make that the headline, so that we're talking more about what's in it for the customer, why they might buy your pieces. Then Karen, just go ahead and take this formula and kind of rework this text. A lot of it is written really well. I love your backstory so much, Karen, and kind of rework it into the formula. I even think, for example, it's okay to share that you lost your husband a few years back. I think that bit of personal detail, and that you're still making these things and you had gone through this amazing journey together, I think that will touch people. I think especially your market and your audience, because they're about making memories. They want something that reminds them of their loved ones who are both here and gone. So it makes sense to me to keep that detail in there. Do you guys see how I'm tweaking it based on what do we think would really resonate with the customer and why they're there? And because Karen's products are all about making memories, I think more those personal details with her relationships make a lot of sense for her to keep on her about page. But Karen, one of the things you could do is, wait, you're doing it well. This is the other thing Karen's doing amazingly well. She has, please sign up for my email list. Okay, but Karen, this is not a link. Okay, so this needs to be an actual call to action that works. What I would suggest, Karen, is considering, is there something you can give them for free in exchange for them signing up for your email list? Maybe you have how to find and source, I can't find my words, you guys, I'm sorry. How to find and source spoons or cutlery to have made into a piece of jewelry. I don't know, I'm just riffing here. But make that something that when they click it, it actually takes them to somewhere to sign up for your email list. So that's what Karen was doing well. She's doing a lot of the formula well. It's just kind of like rearranging the parts of the puzzle. And before we get into Rachel's hot seat, she's our last one, I want to tell you guys that what's going on here is a sneak peek of how things work inside my Streamlined Product Sales Academy, which is my group program for women in e-commerce. You get 6 months of really high-end, truly supportive business mentorship, strategy, accountability, and we're going to be beginning an early bird application soon. So if that sounds appealing to you, in the comments, just put the word mentorship for me, and I or one of my team members is going to reach out and see, like, hey, let's talk about whether this makes sense for your business, and we'll give you our honest opinion. let's move on to Rachel. She's our last hot seat. And Rachel's actually in the current academy, but she was quick and raised her hand on this. So I'm going to go ahead and help Rachel with her about page. Rachel sells handmade one-of-a-kind jewelry pieces. So every piece is unique, right? It's not like a one-to-many type jewelry piece. And I love, Rachel, that this photo of you is so great. Like, it makes me want to get to know you more. And I also think what's happening is it's kind of burying, because if we look at the top of your page and your photo, I have to scroll before I start reading any words. So I think what would be better, I'm just going to shrink this quick, is if your headline was more about that height or smaller, but these would need to be a little bit bigger. And then what if your photo, Rachel, was on the left and you had some text on the right, so that we see your image? Maybe you make the photo a little bit smaller, but we also, from the start, we see that your about page text near the top of the page. And then Rachel, for you, I think you had mentioned this in the comments, a lot of it is bringing in your customer to start. Okay, so what you might want to do is, first of all, instead of calling it philosophy, maybe you name this page, like the URL, Our Story. Or what else was I thinking? I have it written down. I don't know. I'll let you know if I think of another one. It would just be a little more casual than philosophy. And then what I thought you could do is, with all of your text, Rachel, you could break it up into shorter paragraphs, because people's attention spans are so short. They like to read more in short bursts and blurbs, or even bullet points. And then I'm thinking for you, for a headline to pull them in. Rachel, what do you think about this? You can tell me in the comment. Hand-tooled jewelry made for women who want that outer glow. And I kind of stole this from you, right? Like, you were talking a bit about your work in general, and that when you integrate these different things in your life, an outer glow would develop. So that's where that kind of came from. But then we're going to describe your product. And then I think, Rachel, you could go to that encircled site and really follow the formula, but talk about things like, maybe most fast fashion jewelry looks like what everyone else wears. And it doesn't capture the essence of your unique perspective or honor the gifts that Mother Nature has given us. So you could then maybe say something like, Clover Bee is a hand-tooled jewelry shop with one-of-a-kind pieces made from nature. And you could bring this part about sustainability that you have up a little bit higher, okay? And then go into a bit more of your backstory. So again, it's kind of taking some of what you have, doing a bit of rewriting, and then moving your backstory a little bit lower on the page and working in a segue. Like, let me think here. Before you pursued metalsmithing, you were a physical therapist, and you helped people develop a sense of well-being. So maybe your segue looks like something like this. You're talking about how maybe too much of the world, too much of us are not healthy, or we aren't expressing ourselves. And that's why you made this jewelry. And it's something like, and that's why I decided to pursue metalsmithing. And it might seem like a strange connection, but I actually found that when people wear things that express who they truly are inside, they feel better within and without. I'm riffing here, but I think you kind of get what I'm saying. And then that can be your segue into talking more about you. So those are some ideas that I have for the amazing ladies who came in for these hot seats. Thank you so much for being brave and courageous and being willing to bring forth your page for us to look at in a hot seat. And I'm going to be doing more of these in the future, where I take 1 or 2 people, maybe 3, depending on the day, and go through a little bit of your website or maybe something in an email. So keep your eyes open in the weeks to come, because there's going to be some more of that. I know people really love that. And next week in Talk Shops Tuesday is going to be a very special event. We are having my friend Jessica Backus, who created a nonprofit called Kenzie's Causes. She's going to be coming in and talking to us about how the money that we raise from the Commerce Collab will directly help children in need in Kenzie's causes, and what kinds of initiatives it will help them with, and like how much of the donations go directly to them versus like to all this graft and stuff that a lot of other nonprofits have. So that's going to be a really amazing talk. But most of all, I think you'll like it because you will hear Jessica's reason for starting this. And it's actually related to what we've talked about today, right? Like Jessica's nonprofit is about other people. It's about children in this world who really may not be as advantaged as some of us. But there's also a backstory about why Jessica started this, and it came out of personal tragedy. So you're going to hear more about that and why she started it. And I would love to have you join me there. That's going to be at a different time next week at 11 a.m. ET. So keep your eyes peeled in the events. And in the meantime, what I would really, really love is if you make any changes to your About page, will you come into the comments in Facebook and like pop in a screenshot of like, hey, Reese, check out what I did. Like, this is before and this is after. Like, or if you don't want to put a screenshot and you just want to like work on a headline and you want to say like, before it said about Tola Williams, and now it's going to say graceful pearls that make you feel like you're a living embodiment of your grandmother. Okay, that's not quite at Tola, but you get what I mean, right? It's like, just tell me, like, if you made a little change to your headline, pop it into the comments for this so I can go take a look and cheer you on, right? And like give you some accountability with this work. Thank you so much for being here. This was a longer one today. I really appreciate everyone who stuck around all the way to the end and watched these hot seats. And I hope that you have an absolutely phenomenal week. And I will see you again next week. So thanks. Bye.